Hello and welcome to the 2023 Games of Berkeley New Year's Classic presented by Innova Champion Discs. I'm Gavi Gelbart.
And I am co-commentator Cody Kirkland. Today we'll be following the MPO lead card action for the second round front nine.
We are out on the Lake Chabot Hills course, one of two courses that we play this weekend at the New Year's Classic, both on the wonderful Lake Chabot golf course. And we'll see how our players fare, a little bit of windy conditions, and some exciting play to see.
Really a treat to be out on these big courses in January, getting to play disc golf.
Yeah.
Really fortunate to be out there.
Absolutely blessed. Our lead card is Jacob Blair, shot a -3 in round one, Evan Boucher, Trent Somerville, and Andrew Miranda, all rounding it out.
Hole 1 on the Hills course is a 582-foot par 4. Pretty much just feel free to send it. Bigger to the drive, the better. If you're up on that left side hill, you'll be able to see the basket, making that approach a little easier, although it is quite muddy conditions out there, so it is slick on that hill.
Yeah, we had some bad weather leading up to this tournament. Just pouring rain for a few days, flooding all over the California and the Bay Area. And still, we had these volunteers come out, put up all these tee pads, put up all these baskets. Really, really great job by the volunteers and everybody who was involved in setting up this tournament.
Here's Trent on hole 1, letting one fly. Looks like he's going to be up on that left side there. That should be a pretty good spot. Should maybe be 200 feet out or so, in a good spot for birdie.
Yeah, since he got so far left, he'll be able to see the basket. Andrew Miranda with his second drive on the card, and he got that turned over, so he'll get a little more distance out of it. Yeah, really solid shot.
Andrew's a big up-and-comer. I think he's either 16 or 17, but there was some coverage with him on Masters Cup last year as well. He's clearly, if he keeps playing, he'll be somebody big.
Our third player on the card, Evan Boucher, also going left, playing out to the easy side so that he can have a good easy upshot where you can see the basket.
Here's Jacob representing AGL Discs. I know this is a new sponsor for him, so he's throwing a bag of mostly new plastic to him, which is pretty impressive to see him on the lead card in round 2 here.
Yeah, I played with him in round 1. He seemed to really know his discs, but he definitely leaned on a few. That green one, I think, was one of them.
Yeah, you'll notice all 4 players choosing to play to the left side here so they can see the basket, and they'll be forced to throw probably a standstill forehand with the footing that's here.
Really good approach from Jacob. Should be a 20-footer for birdie.
Yeah, Evan going with the same thing. Standstill, little flex forehand here with a fairway driver. Great shot. Parks it.
Closer. That was awesome. Good shot by Evan.
Here's Trent. Looks like he's going a little slower, but the same kind of shot. Leaves it out a little wide there on the left. He'll have a tester to start his day off, probably about circle's edge, maybe a little closer.
And you can see with all that distance that Andrew got, he's just got a little chip shot over to the basket. Makes it look easy.
Yeah, the first hole on Hills played pretty easy, I think about 0.35 under par. Just a short miss there from Trent. This is one you really want to get. It's not too challenging in terms of distance or line. Good putt there by Jacob, capitalized for the birdie.
Solid birdie. Made it look pretty simple. But you can see them walking away from the basket and kind of watching their footing. This whole course is just extremely muddy, and the footing is very difficult. So you'll probably see a lot of standstills today.
Yeah, when this round started, this was the afternoon of Saturday, and it was calm for a bit, and then the wind really picked up maybe halfway through the round and got to pretty crazy levels. I think we were another rainstorm that night, so it was we were lucky to be playing in the sun.
Hole 2 is a par 3. It says about 320 feet, as you can see, and it is not 320 feet. The basket's actually a little bit further up next to those stairs on the left, and since you can't throw on any anhyzer, you kind of have to throw on hyzer off the tee because of this tree there. It's really hard to get the full distance that you need to get up to the green.
Yeah, I think anyone who's getting there is probably throwing either a really big fairway driver or a distance driver, which you wouldn't expect at 319.
As you can see, Andrew just hyzers out a little bit early, but he should still have a putt.
Yeah, that left side is tough because the ceiling's pretty low over there. We'll see if he's able to capitalize, but the left side is much less open.
Evan swings it out a little wider. Doesn't quite have time to hook back up, but he'll have a run at it. And that road behind the basket does not play as OB, so you can miss anywhere as long as you don't roll backwards onto the green.
Great line here from Jacob. We'll see if he has the right distance. Yeah, great shot.
Wow.
Thank you.
Trent putting a lot of hyzer on and ends up in a similar spot to Andrew. They'll both have putts along the edge of that wall. Good upshot from Evan.
Yeah, Trent a little impeded by those limbs there. Just opts to put it under the basket. We'll see if Andrew can give this a run from here.
Oh.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said I feel bad for him. Maybe that's not the right wording, but it sucks.
Played with Andrew at Masters Cup, and he is a great putter. Maybe the commentator's curse coming in a little bit, but he would run every single putt over at De La Viega, and most players would be scared of running something and going down the hill, but he would just, if he missed, he would just cash the next 40-footer in.
Oh my gosh. What am I doing?
Well, lead card making a mess of this hole here. Both Jacob and Andrew missing C1 putts that they really want to capitalize on.
Definitely after that first round, with all the wind, it was hard to find a rhythm with the putter. There was just so much, and elevation. These are very steep hills on a lot of these holes, and so it can be tough to figure out exactly that stroke and start to feel comfortable with it.
Hole 3 is a par 4 down over this valley, then back up to this hill on the left side over by the path. Again, the path does not play as out of bounds. In fact, the basket's actually on the path. This is another par 4 that you really want to have a look for birdie on. It plays a bit further than 500 feet, probably closer to 600, but with these guys, you'd expect them to be in birdie position after good drives.
Evan's patented routine, getting that little run up and then the swing. If you've played with him, he does that every time. It's very consistent, and he is a very consistent player, so maybe there's something to that.
Yeah, he has an ultimate background as well, so I think a lot of times when you see him throwing, it looks like he's trying to kind of get loose, like stay kind of limber like you would for ultimate, kind of keep it moving.
Yeah.
Much less rigid than some players.
Keep those muscles loose. And I think he barely stayed in bounds over there, but we'll have to see when he moves up to his shot.
Yeah, great shot from Jacob here. He's going to have to navigate the trees on the approach, but he's probably only 200 feet to the basket, 180 feet to the basket.
Yeah, you can't really be in a bad spot on this drive as long as you're in bounds on that fairway, but getting all the way to that path on the left makes that upshot super easy, whereas if you're out on the right, there's a log that gets in the way, although it's only like 20 feet away, so you can just throw to it.
Great shot there by Andrew. Nice flex on that. It's going to be way up there. Yeah,
wow.
that'll be a little chip shot.
I don't think it is.
And this road and beyond is OB. We'll see what they decide here.
Yeah, touching right here. So I'm like, you're touching right here. Wham.
Looks like they're calling him in.
Yeah, without painted lines, generally benefit of the doubt will go to the player if they can reasonably be seen to be in.
Yeah. And Evan puts it up. Looks a little short. Should be something from circle 2.
Yeah, low skipping hyzer here from Jacob. Getting to that log is pretty much perfect. That's about 18 feet from the basket, and it works as a nice way to stop your approach shot.
Mm-hmm.
If you try to fly over that log, you can skip and go down that hill and leave yourself with a trickier birdie. Trent doing the same, right up to that log. Should be in a good spot, and you're doing the same as well.
Yeah, playing to that log, you put yourself in a great position for birdie. That's a putt that you got to make.
Here's Evan, probably about 45 feet. See if he can capitalize here. Take himself to two under on the round.
Oh, that putt looked close. As you can see, that hill, like Cody was saying, drops off a little bit behind. So it can be a little scary if you do run a putt a little too high. We'll see what Evan has coming back.
Jacob leaves that one just a touch high, catches the ban. I'm sure he thought that was in the whole way.
It's a good, confident putt, though. Getting the round started for him. A great putt by Trent. A little straddle out to the left.
And you're trying to figure out the best way to attack this lie. I think those branches on the bush in front of him are kind of in his arm swing path. So he's trying to find a clean release here.
Good putt. Confident stroke. High center. That's what you like to see for yourself moving forward.
As we mentioned earlier, we are playing on the Hills course for this round, so the pros had the privilege of playing the Bay course twice and the Hills course once, as Evan misses his par putt there, just on the left side. The Bay course plays a bit more challenging than the Hills course, as you can tell by the scores from round 1, with 5 under being the leading score. Here we are on hole 4. It's 237 feet, very uphill. The path on the left is out of bounds as it beyond the path, and the green on the right. So with no wind, this should be a fairly straightforward spike hyzer for these guys. We'll see if they can judge the width correctly.
Yep. That's a great shot.
In the flyover, the basket was a little further closer to the path than it actually is. The putt is not as deathy as it looked in that flyover, but we'll see that if you're running it from the right side, it does get a little scary.
Looks like Trent and Andrew left it a little wide right. I don't know when the wind picks up here, but the wind is predominantly left to right for them. So you're seeing these hyzers not come back very much.
Oh, man. Looks like he's right on the green.
Yeah, and you can tell the wind's picking up. You can see his shirt moving there.
Yeah, a big part of that, the reason that the Bay course is a little tougher is because you're up at the top of the bay, and you're up at the top of the course, and so the wind gets a little stronger up there. Whereas for those first 3 holes, you're kind of secluded to a degree behind all those trees, so you weren't seeing as much of the wind early on as these players are now seeing on hole 4.
Yeah, Jacob lays it up close. Looks like Evan puts it close as well. Hole 4 in this round actually played a 0.61 over par, mostly due to that prevailing left-to-right wind making the spike hyzer really tough to get it back left. With the green on the right, anything that hangs out wide and gets pushed right is going to find that green. Trent missing that one just low. Again, a very challenging putt. He's putting dead into a strong headwind, and if you miss this high, you're probably going across that path OB.
Yeah, that headwind was roaring this entire round.
So hard to putt when you hit 20 miles an hour.
Now clean up their putts here.
Yeah.
A couple of OB strokes it looked like, but not too bad. We did have one birdie on the day. Quick shout out to Brady Oak for taking the only birdie on this hole.
Wow. Here's hole 5, another par 4, 730 feet. This is down a big hill with path and beyond OB on the right and OB on the left. Really, any kind of distance shot that finds inbounds will be able to attack the basket. And the pin is actually about 70 feet longer to the left of where it is shown in the drone flyover here. So it's past the end of these trees on a stump.
Yeah, you can see the stump from the tee just through there. It looks like one of those trees fell. Anywhere out in this fairway is a great spot to be, as it looks like Trent gets that turned over and gets a lot of distance.
Down. I think you're okay.
And stays in bounds. That road on the left is OB, as is the little path on the right. So you do kind of have to stay center, and it is a pretty steep drop off here.
They also had a tailwind from the right side as well, meaning it's easy to let these leak out to the left if you get them a little too high. Great shot here by Andrew.
Oh my God, he got that angle perfect. He's really feeling it so far this round. Wow, that is big distance. That'll make that approach super easy for him.
That's going to be 200 feet maybe to the basket, pretty wide open.
Yeah.
Both the Bay and the Hills course have a lot of par fours downhills that reward playing the angle well. If you play the angle well, it makes the second shot not too challenging, but if you don't get it correct, it can make the hole play quite far.
Evan gets a nice turn on that disc as well. He should get a lot of distance and have a fairly easy approach in. Jacob back to that green driver, and he threw it on 18 Bay, which is a huge downhill par 5, about 1,250 feet. And he says it's pretty stable, so you can see it holding on in that headwind whenever everybody else is flipped over.
Looks like his approach shot gets away from him a little bit. He decided to go with the backhand, which is a bit more technical there, and it skips off down the hill. He'll probably have 45 feet or so for his birdie. This is really the shot that the hole calls for on the upshot. You're playing into that hill. You're not going to run down that slope. Good forehand there from Trent. Looks like it leaves him about maybe just inside the circle.
Yeah, getting that far out to the left actually gave him a really open look. That tree can come into play that you're seeing in Evan's way, but if you throw a flick around it, it's not too bad. Those guys got so much distance that it's a pretty simple up and down.
Yeah, great shot with an approach disc there. Puts it about 10, 12 feet. Good shot by Andrew as well, probably a similar distance.
Good bid from Jacob. Once again, you can kind of see the wind being down a little bit. They're back down in that valley, so it doesn't come as heavy as it was up on hole 4, and Trent cashes that putt. Great putt from him.
Good birdie.
Yeah, it was a really good birdie.
The first half of the Hills course, you really want to try to rack up as many birdies as you can. I would say it's the less challenging 9 with a lot of very birdieable par 4. So the more you can pick up early, the less stress you'll have on yourself later in the round when you get to the tougher par 3s. There's Evan tapping in his birdie. Well done there.
We're coming up to hole 6, which is a steep uphill par 3. The distance is not necessarily a challenge, but as you can see, there are so many trees in the way. One play is a flex flick through the side. I have seen someone try to throw a turnover backhand. Did you see anything else besides that?
I think the flex flick is the only realistic birdie play.
Makes the gap pretty big. You get up there, usually you'll finish towards it.
Yeah. Also a treacherous green, so running putts on this can have you rolling down the hill if they don't go your way.
And you can see that Trent doesn't quite get it up, but he squeaks out there. That might be a bid around the tree that he has. But you really have to crank these upwards. Otherwise, you're not going to get up to the pin.
A big challenge on throwing this type of flex shot uphill is just how little time the disc is in the air. Andrew's got a great angle here, just getting it pretty flat out of the hand. Throws to the skinniest part of the gap, but hits it really good.
That was a really nice shot.
Yeah, when you're throwing uphill, the disc is approaching the ground much faster than on flat ground, so you don't have the same amount of time to let that disc flex out, even if you're throwing something pretty overstable. Evan is going to show us the backhand play. We'll see how feasible this is here.
Honestly, I'm excited. Unique shot.
Oh, he's going really wide, and that'll probably be in position for a par.
Yeah, I think that'll be a pretty easy par. He got up enough distance.
Great line there by Jacob as well. Again, you can just throw just dead flat. That's par. You can just throw dead flat to hyzer, but it makes the gap very small.
Yeah, as you can see, Evan got enough distance. It was a pretty easy up and down for him. And Trent is right behind that tree, so we'll see what he has.
Probably about 50 feet up this hill, and this is one where if you get a little greedy, you can catch a roll away if things don't go your way.
Oh man,
good bid.
Really good bid. Kept the height.
There's Andrew from maybe 20 feet behind the basket. Threw it too good. Went a little deep.
That's the reality out here on the Hills course. These are 2 temp courses that they put in just for this tournament, just for this weekend. And that's 36 baskets out there. And so some of these baskets are a little bit older, and you occasionally see some of those spit outs.
Yeah, there's something to be said for adjusting your putt for the basket you're putting on. Not something you see necessarily on the Pro Tour too much, but at local tournaments like this, it might be smart to, if the basket's not as good of a catcher, to loft some of these in.
Yeah, I always say you got to putt softer. Apparently that advice coming in handy right about now.
But in all seriousness, great drive, great putt by Andrew. Unfortunate for the spit out there. I'm sure he'll be not leaving that hole feeling too bad since he did everything right. Hole 7 is par 3, 447 feet. That tall grass area on the right is all hazard. This is steeply downhill, so you either have a wide backhand over the hazard play crashing into that tree a little short, or a forehand play going around the tree from the left side.
And this hole, despite being 450 feet, because of that steep downhill Cody was talking about, doesn't play as far. As Jacob gets this a little turned over, will it hook up?
Looks like that's going to stay a little wide unless he gets a crazy skip out of that tall grass, but probably going to be putting from the hazard there for his par.
Yeah. And these guys are either going to be throwing something on a almost one angle flick. As you can see, Trent gets that out to flat.
Oh, really nice height.
Forward. And he's a little deep. And so a lot of players are going to disc down a little bit here.
Yeah, one of the trickier things with throwing up and down these hills is judging the stability correctly. When you throw downhill, the discs are going to be much less stable. So when you're trying to factor that in, along with, we had a lot of wind this weekend as well, it can be very challenging to judge the angles correctly.
That's why it's nice to have that one angle that it looks like Andrew's got. And that'll be solid. He's in bounds. He's got a long bid at it. That'll be kind of comes in on the putt, but he's got about 30 to 35 feet to the edge of it.
Yeah, Andrew taking something pretty stable, not wanting to make the same mistake that Jacob did of flipping his up and throwing the hazard.
Oh, wow. Good shot from Evan. Once again, you can see that single angle, all hyzer. Jacob put a little bit of turn on it. Oh, and there's Scott Riley, our wonderful tournament director, organizing so much of the stuff and the labor and all the time and energy that went into this. Thank you, Scott.
Here's Jacob from maybe 60 feet, and he's just putting it up next to the basket.
That was for par, because he is in hazard. Andrew with a soft little bid, doesn't want to flirt with the OB.
Yeah, Andrew's regular putt is pretty direct, spinny putt, so I think on that one, if he airballs it right or left, he could easily make it to the hazard. Trent just missing right as well.
Solid bid.
And we finally got into Evan's shot, which is an absolute drop-in birdie. Well done.
Under the basket. You love to see it.
You gotta step it up. Put it in the basket, please.
Yeah, this is really the stretch on the course where you want to score. Hole 8, hole 9, both pretty gettable. This is 262 feet. I think it plays a little further, maybe plays about 300 to 315 feet. You either have a really wide forehand hyzer, or a lefty hyzer, or you have kind of a pushing righty hyzer through this gap in the middle.
Yeah, you can see that right side gap is the biggest, but it can be a little tricky. These tree limbs, although they look really thin, they'll knock you down.
Yeah, Evan leaving that one, sawing it off a little early, will probably have about 50 feet to the basket, maybe 40 feet to the basket from there. You can even see the water coming up as Trent steps on this pad. It was quite the mud fest out there.
Yeah, these tee pads did their job for sure, but it was a little bit sketchy to step over this mud puddle to get to it, and then you weren't sure about your footing. And so you can see all these players are just a little bit early on their hyzers. They're not holding as long, maybe because of that footing.
Yeah, I think Andrew, you can clearly see, felt like he slipped as soon as he let go of that one. He was walking away. Finally, one of them getting the width. Will it finish for him? Pretty good, probably about 25 feet. Great shot there by Jacob.
Yeah, it's a solid drive. And there is a road right behind the basket, maybe about 30 feet up the hill. And some people do get to it, but if you're throwing... Oh, what a great bid from Andrew. Top of the cage. If you're throwing a hyzer, it can be pretty tough to get here. It is very uphill. On Trent with another good bid.
Good bid there by Evan as well. They'll all be tapping in their pars. Here's Jacob for the lone birdie. Let's see if he can convert. Yeah, good putt there. I think a big boon for players this weekend is if you had a strong standstill game. If you're able to confidently throw from a standstill, it would really ameliorate the difficulties of the conditions on the ground. This tee, I think, was one example of it. If you could go standstill here and really trust your footing, would make you much more likely to hit that line.
Mm-hmm.
Hole 9, 164 feet up this gap down the middle. There is a left to right hyzer line that you can throw, but really what the hole's asking for is just throw a straight shot with any putter or approach disc in your bag.
For anyone who's seen this coverage or played in this tournament in the past, the tee pad was actually moved a little bit to the left to kind of encourage you to go up this tunnel a little bit more. It still is a very short shot, and players want to get this birdie, but it is forces you to be a little bit more careful with that shot. As Jacob places it right under the basket, that should be an easy tap-in birdie.
Oh, Evans flips over a little bit on him, kicks out to the left. Might actually still have a look at the birdie there, maybe from about 45 or 50 feet. Not an unfavorable kick at all.
Trent throws it right up the middle. Should have a fairly easy routine birdie coming up.
I like that choice by Trent to kind of just throw that into the ground in the fattest part of the gap, not needing to put it under the basket to know he's still close enough to make that an easy birdie.
Yeah, and Andrew with a similar result, making that gap as big as possible. The only mistake really is to hit one of those trees early. So if you can just get all the way through, you should give yourself a putt. And you might be able to hear it, but the wind picking up, you can see that flag moving. They're getting back up to the higher part of the course, and so these putts might feel a little bit more sketchy or a little bit more less comfortable than they were on those earlier holes.
Good putt there by Andrew to capitalize on the birdie here. Again, on hills, it's really about collecting as many birdies as you can, so you don't want to let these easier holes slip away from you. The Bay course, you can be a bit more strategic with when to attack and when to play safe, but the hills course is mostly just a birdie fest and keep looking for more.
Yeah, hole 9 was playing as the third easiest hole on the course, surprisingly, with just a little bit under half birdies. But that is it for our front 9. Once again, thank you for watching. Appreciate Games of Berkeley for sponsoring, and Scott and Jeff for putting this amazing tournament on. We'll see you on the back 9.